Welcome back for episode 7 of Sister Moms. The title of this episode is Sis, You Need Help. This is such an important episode for us. I mean, as new moms, for anybody not knowing how, being afraid of asking for help. So we wanted to make sure we touched on this topic right now. But before we get started, as always, I want to know, Janisha, how has your week gone?
Well, when this post is probably going to be a little bit behind, but the crazy thing of this past week is the weather. So we've been having these random snow spurts, and this was the first, no, that's the second week. This is the second week where we had to actually readjust our visitation type schedule or whatever. So I had to keep Imani an extra day, and I just kind of had to go with the flow and adjust, but it all worked out super perfectly. I remember Friday, her dad was like, "Hey, can I, it's looking okay outside. Can I come get her?" I was like, "When?" He was like, "Now." I'm like, "Yes, come on. I'm ready."
You had her for how long at that point?
I mean, I had her for, usually she leaves on Thursday. So I had her an extra day from getting her back on, I guess that last Friday, I think. Something like that. I don't know. But it was like, and it's not so much about her. It's more about I had time when she's gone is when I do all the things I need to do. So I was like, oh my gosh, I have these Zoom meetings. What am I going to do? And when I tell y'all, he got here, he didn't know anything. So I just thank God because he got here like literally 20 minutes before my first Zoom meeting. I'm like, yes.
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. Yes. So
That's
how was your week?
it was crazy. I'm out here in Texas. So at first I was like, how was my week? But then when you said weather, I was like, oh yeah. It's
Yes.
been crazy. But because since 2020, it's just been crazy on top of crazy, you forget like crazy becomes your new normal.
Yeah.
So like I'm trying to go to the store. I want to try to start meal prepping, trying to be healthier. And there's no produce still, there's no dairy still. And for me, I'm getting almond milk and stuff, but still it's not there. And so I'm not upset. I'm mostly upset because I want Starbucks. And I've taken like 3 trips to try to get some coffee from Starbucks. I called today and they hung up on me.
Like, girl, bye.
Right. Like we don't even probably have clean water, but you asking for some coffee. I'm like, you don't understand. I have Starbucks gift card money and I need to use it now.
Right.
So really, it was a win. Like when you have a young kid and it snows when you're from Alabama, that was huge. So she was able to go out and play in the ice by the time we went out. But her uncle took her out in the snow. And so that was exciting to see her experience something new. But also, it's inconveniencing. So it's been crazy. But when you're with family, you just figure it out together. And that's probably the best part of it all.
Yes.
And so, like, yes, in true form of talking about help and like support, like I have so much support or had so much support during this ice storm. Um, in lieu of that, we're talking about this episode being Sis, You Need Help.
Nope.
And, we all have these aha moments when something clicks. Like people probably told you, girl, you need to ask for help. You need to, and you're like, but I got it. But I got it. And so for me, my aha moment of it's okay to get help and you need help was a time that I went to a yoga class in Mobile. It was like a trap. No, it wasn't trap yoga. Maybe I don't know, but it was neo soul music playing, so it was my vibe. But I went to a yoga class trying to work on my self care because at this point, I think I said Imani, your baby. D was a few months old, and I was trying to work on myself. I was like, I got to get up out this house. I can't do this. So I went to a yoga class, and the instructor was, I think it was just me and her, the first class. Like I was the only one that showed up, which was perfect because I got to talk to her. And she was a young mom. We're probably close to the same age, and a single mom at that with 2 kids. And they were there. So watching her, like, I'm working and my kids are here, we're just like, you superwoman. So, as a new mom, you're looking for answers, even if you're afraid to ask for help. So I was just talking to her, like, how are you doing all this? Or like, this is not all you do. You have a full-time job. She was a yoga instructor and she did so much more. And she still does so much. Um, and so she shared with me that she learned that it was so important to ask for help. People try to use biblical references to say like what your role is or to define your role as a mom and put more on you than necessary. She's like, even in the Bible, the women in the Bible there's women that had servants and all kinds of help.
Right.
And yet people try to condemn you
Right.
for not being perfect,
Right.
for not getting help. So she was the type where she she shared with me that she would get assistance. I'm blanking out on it now, but like there's like fraternity or sororities in a nearby college that are dedicated to daycare services.
Wow.
And so she's just like, they're out there waiting for you to call them. And so she would find help for picking up her kids from school and things like that. I'm going on and on. But it was one of those moments where I felt heard, seen, supported, and just like understood.
Yes.
And so for me, that was like, whew, I can ask for help. It's
Yeah.
okay. So yeah, that was my aha moment. So
Okay.
I'm looking at my notes because my memory is horrible. So yes. But I shared that moment with you during a time when you had Imani, I think, at that time.
Mhm.
And we discussed like we're gonna talk about this on our Facebook Live. And we
Right.
did. And
Yeah.
so we brought it now to this platform. So
Right. Yes.
yeah.
Okay, so one of the things we did discuss was why do you think it is that people don't ask for help? You kind of talked about it a little bit, the whole superwoman complex. We have this idea that we're supposed to be able to do it by ourselves. But other than that, what are some other reasons people don't ask from your, experiences?
Yeah. So from my personal experiences, I'm married and I have a daughter. So, we were married for years before having D. And so you create this picture in your mind of what it's going to be like. I'm going to do this and he's going to do this. And I'm going to do this and he's going to do this. And we were like, my husband and I worked like a well-oiled machine, with the house, like household chores. But a baby is so different from household chores.
Yes.
And so I thought something totally different, that it was just going to be easier,
Mhm.
not that he didn't help as much as he could, but he transitioned into a new job. We moved to a new house and had a baby all within like the same month.
Yeah.
So when you transition to a new job, it requires a level of, help me out. What's the word I'm looking for? It just requires more time on your part, And so uh he wasn't around as much as I would have liked. I really would have liked him to be around 24 hours a day, but then how would we pay for everything? And so when I needed to rely on other people, I was uncomfortable. I wasn't ready to ask for that. So I know for one, it's rejection. You don't want to ask and they tell you no,
Yeah.
because then you might feel like a burden.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you switch it up. Like, I was just asking, but I'm fine. I'm good. I don't need no help. I'm good. And so for me, that's what it was. Because his mom, my mother-in-law, is like a godsend. She's like, "What you need me to do?" And
Yeah.
yeah, she's the goat. And I didn't want to ask her though. I saw how easy she made it look easy just because she's had so much experience taking care of home and things like that. And so I was like, I have to prove that I can be that.
Hmm.
Um, so fear of rejection, fear of being seen as weak.
Right.
You're a new mom. If you were able to birth and bring a new life into the world, you should be able to take care of it. That's
Yes.
the thought. And then it's if you just have one, you're like, I only have one. I know people with five. I should be able to do this.
Yes.
That's a whole joke.
It is.
That's
It,
a whole
it's
joke. So I know fear of rejection, fear of being seen as weak, and you just want to be perfect Patty. You build this idea. I mean, I know for both of us, we read the book What to Expect When You're Expecting. So, girl, we know it all.
I didn't read it, just so you know.
Oh, I rely on you to read stuff, church. That's what it used to be.
I was struggling. I ain't do no reading.
I understand. I read the book cover to cover and some parts twice. And I was on Google all the time. I knew everything. I was ready. This is gonna be easy. But it's not. You need to take care of yourself. it's so much wrapped up into that. And so if we sit and think that we got it just because we read a book, we got it because if if God put me in here, then I can do it. It's like, yeah, you can do it with
With
help.
help.
So that's the part. So my question for you is, why is important? I've answered that too. We both talked about it, but why is
Um, so yes, we did kind of talk about that as far as I remember, okay, it makes me think about an experience. When I first moved back to Fredericksburg, I met with a lady from my church, and she used to be a single mom, but she's married now with, multiple children. And she was just very compassionate, and she just really made me feel okay because she said, Jonisha, you are not supposed to be able to do this by yourself. That was never the intention. So it took a lot of weight off of me. Like, I'm not supposed to be able to be superwoman and do this all. So I'm supposed to ask for help. I'm supposed to um, let people partner with me on this journey, even if I'm not married. Because even with that, kind of thinking about that, condemnation can sometimes make like single moms feel like just more about just kind of minding their business. Like, let me just stay in my little bubble, do what I need to do. I don't want to talk to nobody else because they gonna think, I'm looking for a handout because, my situation or anything like that. So sometimes it's that. But I mean, the reason is we're human beings,
yeah,
and we are meant to be in community, and we need balance. We need rest. We can't do everything, and we're not supposed to. So it's really just not it's not meant for you to. That's why.
right. You're not. I love that she said that. I wish that every new mom had someone tell them that you're not supposed to do this on your own. Whether you're married or single,
Right.
you're not supposed to do this on your own. And even if you are married with all the help in the world, y'all need time together. So you still need outside help.
Yep.
And that's huge. So that brings us to the next part. How?
How do
How
you go about
ask,
doing this?
especially like extreme like introverts, extreme people who are extremely afraid of like, I don't like asking people for anything. So
Right.
how do you do it?
So I think you'll probably help me with this because I'm the extrovert. But although I'm an extrovert, I'll still kind of share some of my background of I was the child who did everything. And I was just super independent, right? Like, I'm gonna go where I want, I'm gonna do what I want. I'm just I'm just going to, like, I got to a place of freedom. So then I exercised that freedom and did it all, but I kind of just did it. I would partner with friends of like, hey, do you want to do this with me? Um, but I don't know, I just always kind of been super independent, right? So, and I didn't need help ever, right? I had parents if there was, I mean, even speaking about parents, like, y'all, I literally went to college. When I left the house from my parents' house, I left with full rides, right? So I never had to come back to ask for hardly like anything, literally. So I've been doing in my mind, okay, I got out of high school when I was 17 years old. I'm 30 now. So I've been solo riding this thing out for 13 years. So when I got to a place of like, okay, you stressed out, you tired, you're overwhelmed. So I'm like, something ain't right around here. This can't be normal. So it really had me thinking like, okay, if this isn't what I'm supposed to do, then what should I be doing differently? So honestly, everyone won't have this story, I know, but a lot of times people are asking you if you need help. Most of the time, people are asking, even if it's in subtle ways, there's an open door for you to just say yes sometimes. And we sometimes will say no. So, like for me, my mind, right? Oh, I'm a single mom. I have all these friends that are a little younger than me as far as at work. They don't have no kids. Why am I going that everybody's like, okay, Jonisha, we're here for you. Let me know when you need help. Let me know what I can do. People will say that. Let me know what I can do. Let me know how I can help you. And you're like, okay. But then when you need something, you don't think to call them
Right.
because
Right.
it's different when they offer, if you need help, let me know. That means I got to call your phone or text you and say, hey, on Wednesday, I have this event that I would like to go to. Are you available? So it's kind of like that extra work, although it's an open door. So for me, I had to learn to take advantage of these open doors. There were doors that are already open. I had friends that were legit. Hey, I know I'm single, I don't have no kids, but still, I'm your friend. I want to help you. I have a friend who's married with kids. She was still, I know you're a new mom. I know you're a single mom. Let me help you. So
Yeah.
one way is to take advantage of open doors. When people ask you, even if you say, not right now, but you know, how about this? You know what I'm saying? Like, even though it may not be something you can take at that time. So being open to receive help from others, and then even asking, like, if you have, there's the whole rejection thing is big, right? Rejection is huge, but we got to suck it up, you know? Like, people gonna say no, and that's okay. You
Right.
can't, you can't be, you know, r- going into a shell because someone told you no. And I'm speaking to myself about this,
Mm.
but you sometimes you have to speak up, and it could be something small, right? So when the babies are super young, right? The lady I live with, she's like, when my friends' babies were young, I literally would just go hold them for an hour, and the mom got to take a shower. Simple things like that's not even big. It's an hour. Like my friends, like I'm like, oh, I'm so inconveniencing you so much, but it's literally an hour of your time just so I can take a shower and cook dinner. You
Right.
know, so I don't. For me, I think of people are already asking me, so I had to learn how to say yes and not being afraid, like pushing through the fear of rejection, pushing past it and still asking.
Yeah.
Um, and even maybe partnering with another mom, right? So like they talk about like mom exchanges. Like I have a friend, Danica. I'm like, all right, Danica, I'm good with the older kids. You're good with the babies. So how about, I can give you Imani, and you and her and the Layla, no, Leah play together. I'll take the big girls because then if I had them, I don't got much to do.
Right. They're
You know?
easy to
That's a
watch.
break. I can sleep through the night, like buy them something to eat, let them watch a movie, and I can take an hour to myself to do something. So get creative. And even if it's like one step of like, I can't all the way just ask somebody to do something for me, start with a friend exchange.
Right.
Those are some things that come to my mind. What about you? Can you think of anything else?
Yes, I thought about so many things because you have to get creative. Every step of parenting is getting as creative as possible. And
Mhm.
so you may not be comfortable with somebody watching your child yet and you're away,
Mhm.
but hey, can you hold my baby for an hour while I take a shower and I do whatever else I want to do?
Mhm.
Or somebody that's like, I'm just going to wash your dishes and sit here and talk to you.
Mhm.
Hey, come on, sis.
Yeah.
Like that's everything. I remember when I had D, I had a refrigerator full of food. My church group, my marriage church group, they just kept pouring in the food, and only one family, uh, each family brought one meal, but that added up to meals that we didn't have to think about cooking.
Mhm.
So getting creative and like, what are you comfortable with? If you're not comfortable dropping your kid off with somebody, figure out what you're comfortable with.
Right.
And then that older kid piece, that's a life hack. Cause I learned, me and my husband learned, we kept trying to find people to like, oh, can Dee stay at her grandparents on the weekends? There will be some weekends where they're like, not this weekend, but it would be important to us. Like, we need a break. And so my husband's cousin, who's like 7 or 8, 8 or 9 or something like that, she would come over, and all we had to do was have some food for her. She would be excited to come over, and she would keep D busy, put D to sleep. Not on purpose. She would just tire her out, and then she's like, "Where you want me to put her?" I put her in that crib now. Me and my husband, we had our bed, the feet reclined up, watching. We was killing Netflix. Y'all good in there?
So
And
smart.
she stayed with us for like a week. She just kept saying, "Can I stay another night?" Girl, yes.
Yes.
That trade was serious, and I traded. And I know this is what you said, but I I love tutoring, one-on-one tutoring. So during this pandemic, people don't want to sit there on the computer with their kids all day. So this is a hack for like if you have a comfort level. If you would rather sit with the teenage child who needs some help on the computer versus your 2-year-old who out here acting a fool, you might be able to switch with somebody. Get creative, boo.
Yes.
Or friends that partner with your friends. Let's all go to the park together. Like nobody's watching. The kids are playing with each other. It's just a minute to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's everything. Just breathing time. You don't think as a mom that you have to remember to breathe.
Right.
Um, what moments can you do with your child and still breathe? And
Right.
then those outside sources of help. So cleaning services. If that's not your strength, if you find yourself constantly saying, I'm so upset that I have to clean this house Saturday, this whole Saturday, the one Saturday I have to myself, I'm gonna spend it cleaning. Don't, boo. If you can afford it, find somebody else to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that that you just think is like the worst task possible, outsource it.
Right.
Or leave that thing dirty for a second. Like leave it messy just for a hot second in it. Don't look at it. Go somewhere else so you ain't gotta look at it. I used to spend every waking minute that I didn't have D preparing for her to be back. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that creativity piece is everything. And there was one more point. We talk about that mom's intuition that's supposed to come when the baby gets here. Like, oh, I'm just going to know what to do. You talked about that a little bit. You had mom's intuition when you said, this doesn't feel right. I'm extremely overwhelmed. There's no outlet. I'm constantly having to do something. That is mom's intuition when it said, when you're overwhelmed and you say, this does not feel right.
Right.
I remember my breaking point of this doesn't feel right. And I would not listen to myself.
Mm-hmm.
I would just be like, that's because I'm doing it wrong. It's because I got to do it different on this end.
Right.
It's because I got to wake up earlier. I just kept adjusting myself instead of simply asking for help. That exhaustion is worse than the fear of rejection, in my opinion. So I think we touched on a lot of good topics. Like
one thing I thought of when you were talking about getting creative,
mm-hmm.
Meal prep, right? So I don't have a lot of time to go to the store with the pandemic. I don't take her with me regularly to the store. So I do like HelloFresh and Home Chef and things like that. That saves me time from having to go to the store. And for even me, I think about researching recipes. That's time. Trying to figure out what to cook, all of that. So even that, like getting things delivered to you versus going to the store, is a time saver.
And so help can come in the form of services that don't have anything to do with the physical person. Is getting the help that you need. Right. Like that's crazy that that's such a profound topic. Like, if I don't want to do it, find somebody else to do it. That's crazy. Because there's so many things as a new mom that you can't outsource. Like if you're breastfeeding and you're adamant about it, you can't outsource that.
Right.
Figure out what you can outsource though. So I like that.
Yep.
Moms out there, if you have any additional topics, any additional suggestions on this topic, please reach out to us. But additionally, if you want to talk about anything aside from this, we want to hear from y'all. We want to make sure we're hitting on topics that are important to you in this season of your life or preparing for the next season. So we thank you so much for joining us for episode 7 of Sister Mom. And as always, please subscribe and share.